Howdy gamers, my name is Tom Deshane. I'm the creator of Quest for the Antidote, and I'm here to give you the quick and dirty guide on how to set up the game and how to play. At the start of the game, you'll want to select your pawn. My pawn here is the purple pawn, so you'll also want to collect the corresponding breath tracker token. That goes on the number 50 to represent how much health you have in the game. And then you also want to grab the corresponding deck of 10 ingredient cards. So I have here the purple deck. You shuffle up the deck of ingredient cards and you randomly select 4, and these will create the items that you'll need to get for your antidote. Now what you want to do is you want to lay them out face up in front of you. That way all the other players can see what items you're going to be searching for, and you're going to want to place them with the empty vial, the needed symbol, pointing up. And then when you venture out across the board and collect this ingredient item, you'll turn it so everyone at the table knows that you've collected this item. So you've got your pawn in the center of the board, you've got your breath tracker token on the number 50, you've got your antidote ingredient items in front of you. Next, you've got the dice. There are 2 different dice in the game. One is a 6-sided movement die, the other is a 10-sided battle die. Now, here's the trick. Since you're poisoned and you've got the poison coursing through your veins, anytime you roll the 6-sided movement die to determine how many spaces you move, you lose a breath. And anytime you encounter a monster and have to fight a monster, you roll the 10-sided battle die, and that too costs you a breath. So anytime you roll either the 6-sided movement die or the 10-sided battle die, you are losing breath and getting weaker by the minute. Next, you want to grab the 50 monster cards. And what you want to do is you want to split the deck, and you want to make sure your 2 big baddies, King Mithridates and the Dragophant, the only 2 level 10 monsters in the game, are in your first deck right here. You shuffle it up, and then you go around the board, and you place face down in the monster deck spaces all the different monsters. Now, the reason why we put King Mithridates, the Poison King, the person who poisoned you and experimented on you and got you in this predicament, and the Dragophant, the King of the Wilds, the reason why we put them into this section is to make sure they're well hidden and so that they won't come out until a little bit later in the game. Then what you do next is you take the remaining monster cards, shuffle those randomly, and you continue around the board. So now that all the monsters are in place, you should be aware that certain high-level monsters give you rewards if you can beat them. So here you have drop cards. Any level 9 or level 10 monster that you defeat will give you a drop that will help you throughout the game. The next thing you want to do is put your reward cards on the board. There's a stack of 10 reward cards. You want to shuffle them well, and then what you want to do is you want to place 4 randomly face up in the corners of the board on the reward card space. Now these are face up so everyone can see what rewards are in play this game. These are very powerful rewards that can help you in your quest for the antidote. However, you have to travel all the way out to the periphery of the board, so you have to be wondering, is it really worth my venture? So now we have your pawn in the center of the board, we have your breath tracker token on the breath tracker, we have the 50 monsters spread out, just laying in wait to attack you, and we have the 4 reward cards face up in the corners of the board. Last but not least, there are meddling cards. And those cards are the ones with the skull in the back and the blue background. There are 18 meddling cards. You want to shuffle them and distribute them to the different players in the game. Now, in a game of 2 players, you want to distribute 5 meddling cards to each player. In a game of 3 players, you want to distribute 4 meddling cards to each player. In a game of 4 or more players, you want to give 3 meddling cards to each player. Again, this game can support 2 to 6 players. So, once you have your meddling cards, these allow you to meddle with other players and hinder their progress. That way you can be the first to collect the items you need for your antidote and get back to the center of the board before anyone else. However, one other thing to be aware of, at any time you can trade in one of your meddling cards to regain 5 breaths on the breath tracker. Now, to start the game, you'll want to go around the table and everyone will roll the 10-sided battle die. Whoever has the highest roll will go first. So to determine how many spaces you go this turn, you roll the 6-sided battle die, and you can move in any direction down any of the 32 different paths in Quest for the Antidote. So when you're traveling down the road and you encounter a monster, you have to stop on these red spaces with the arrows pointing in the direction of the monster. That triggers a monster fight. You flip over the top monster, you see what level they are, and then you have to roll the 10-sided battle die in order to defeat the monster. Again though, every time you roll the 10-sided battle die, you lose a breath and get weaker and weaker. So you have to figure out whether or not it's worth it to try to fight and defeat this monster to continue on in your quest, or if you can retreat. Now you can only retreat if you still have spaces left to move according to your movement roll. If you don't, then you're stuck and you have to beat this monster or die trying. To collect an ingredient for your antidote, all you have to do is land on the green space with the star next to your ingredient item. So I just landed on Flower of the Field. I turned my ingredient card from needed to collected, and now I only have 3 items left in order to complete my antidote. Also, there's dueling in this game. What that means is, if on your turn, you ever occupy the same space as another player, and that player has an ingredient item that you need, you can challenge that player to a duel. At that point, you each roll the 10-sided battle die. If you, as the challenger, have the higher roll, you get the ingredient item you want, and then that player either has to chase you to get it back, or they have to go and recollect that item from the start. However, if as the challenger you lose your duel, then you lose 5 breaths automatically. There's also looting in this game. That is, if a player ever expires and they run out of breath, they are out of the game, but their pawn still stays on the board. If your pawn ever occupies the same space as an expired player, you can loot the body and collect an ingredient item or an unused reward card or an unused drop card that can help you in your journey. So there you have it. That's the quick and dirty way on how to set up and play Quest for the Antidote. For any more questions, please refer to the rule book. I wish you luck, and I hope you have fun in your Quest for the Antidote.